Good afternoon. It's about 2 o'clock on Tuesday. I thought James was going to be at work today. He isn't. I expected his alarm clock to wake me up at 8 o'clock like it did yesterday. It didn't. So when we both woke up at about 10 o'clock, it was bucketing it down with rain. Not just April showers, April bathtubs. So that's good. That, I think, is the weather just conspiring to make sure that everybody stays in at home, which we have done successfully so far this morning. James is now getting ready to go out shopping. Not sure what he's going to get. We haven't quite worked out what food we want for the next couple of days, other than we want it to be some fresh food rather than something out of the freezer. This morning I've been watching London's Burning, and after catching up sort of at the end of last week beginning of the weekend, over the weekend, whatever, I now have no spare episodes to watch. So last week when I was binge watching, it was like, oh, I want to know what's happening and I could find out straight away. Now I can't. I have to wait until today's episode airs and gets recorded, and then I can watch it. So that's really, it's just frustrating. I want to know what happens. I've also made a mistake with my knitting, which is down here. If I can find where I've done it. Oh, there we go. So here, actually it's not as obvious on the camera as it is in real life. Ooh. Anyway, so here, I'd made a mistake. It just looked wrong and I couldn't work out why. So I dropped a stitch and tried to pick it back up again. Only I picked it up purl-wise instead of knit-wise. Then when I dropped the stitches again and managed to pick them all up again properly, I'd realised that I'd left one of the rows. So one of the rows I hadn't picked up the stitches. So I did it again. Then I pulled it up again and realised that I'd dropped another one of the stitches on a different row. And in total, I think I messed it up about 7 or 8 times. This was not an easy fix. So what I'm doing now is unpicking all of the rows. It's about 7 or 8 rows that I'm having to unpick and pull down. I'm not quite brave enough to pull the needles out and just rip everything back. My fear is if I do that, then all I'm going to do is drop some stitches somewhere and have to pick them back up again, and we're just in the same boat as I was before, same problems. So although undoing it row by row by row is going to be as tedious as anything, fingers crossed I'm not going to make any more mistakes.
You got awfully serious. Just thinking.
It looks wonderful and beautiful and romantic, but come on, this is the Channel 5 movie. The lodger, evil upstairs. A young professor moves into her sister's home. Unbeknownst to her, a tenant with a troubled past is living in the guest house. I'm guessing that's him. And I'm guessing he's going to try murdering her at some point. Again, it's the aerial shots over the city. We've seen this intro before. Deadly lessons. Also known as a stolen past. Under the guise as a math tutor, Tamara finds a way to reconnect with her abducted daughter, Aubrey. But Aubrey's father will do anything, even kill, to keep the truth hidden. See what they did there? The stolen past, it's like a pun. Stolen because the mother didn't grow up with the daughter or didn't watch the daughter growing up, but stolen because she was abducted. It's clever, that is. That, I believe, is not Tottenham Court Road. Is it?
No, it's...
Hold on, what was that orange on the right?
No. I think I've gone one street across from where I wanted to be.
Yeah, there is one on Tottenham Court Road, but it's the other end.
Oh, it's here, I think. I wasn't far enough. Yes, it's there. If that lorry wasn't in the way.
Oh yeah, I can see the cash machine.
Yeah.
I didn't think this sourdough starter thing had worked. The instructions say if you see bubbles, then that's the yeast. And if you look, there are actually bubbles. They may be tiny, they may be out of focus, but there are actually bubbles. The instructions also said to keep it in a warm place, which is the one thing I failed to do yesterday. So what I'm doing now today is keeping it inside my hoodie, like a little Joey. Trump can't imagine why disinfectant calls spiked to emergency services. He can't be serious.
But given that the number of deaths in care homes continues to go up every day, surely this has to be your first priority now. This looks as though this is where the virus continues to spread.
The spread of the virus through care homes is absolutely a top priority, yes. And on the testing, I think John Newton wanted to add something. Well,
so the guy who asked the question about the care homes was Paul Brand, who asked the question about proof that deaths in care homes was decreasing, as the government claimed at the briefing 2-3 days ago. Interestingly, in the response, the government did not refute in any way the claim that deaths in care homes are increasing. Interesting. I acknowledge our flat is not the tidiest in Christendom. I am not a good housewife. However, this has annoyed me irrationally. Not the fact that the DVDs are on the floor instead of on the shelf, but the fact that the DVDs are in the wrong order in the box. Right, so the possible sourdough starter is resting on the radiator, as you can see. James was cold, I was cold, so we switched the heating back on. Not sure if I can see any more bubbles though. I'm blaming that on bad light. James went shopping earlier and he got absolutely soaked in the rain, poor love. So I made him come in, take off his jacket, take off his shirt, which had got damp around the collar and round the top of the shoulder blades. And then he got a bit cold. I got a bit cold. We switched the heating on, which is ridiculous considering how hot it was at the end of last week. James isn't at work tomorrow, so if I'm going to get up early, I need to set myself an alarm. Tomorrow I had kind of penciled in the fact I need to go for a blood test. However, I don't have any knitting with me. Well, I do have the knitting, but it's still in the process of being sorted out. Nearly there, but not quite. And that's it for Tuesday. If there was anything else there, I'll have to wait till tomorrow because I've forgotten it. Bedtime. See you tomorrow. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. We had baked beans for dinner and I didn't take it down my front.
Yay!